royalty. They'll be calling me, calling me. They'll be calling me royalty. Best to give me loyalty, 'cause I'm taking the world, you'll see. They'll be calling me, calling me. They'll be calling me royalty.
Welcome to the Fray Flak Pack. It's Termex here, and welcome back to another Borderlands 3 build video. And in today's build video, I'm going to be showcasing my Dominance Flak build, but this is basically taking part of Pet Flaction and part of traditional Gamma Burst Red Fang Flak and making it into a controller of the whole battlefield. You're never going to really get targeted with this. I mean, that really goes without saying with a class mod like Red Fang, but we have a bunch of different ways to de-aggro ourselves, and basically, we don't really have to do much but stand there and look pretty. Now, starting off into the skill tree, let's go into the Master Tree. We do have 3 points into Persistence Hunter, 2 points into Ferocity, just so we can get further into the tree. We put no points into He Bites because we did get those points from our class mod. That saves us some points, so we can actually put another point into Who Rescued Who for the healing. 1 point into Psycho Head on a Stick for more pet damage and movement speed, which is nice. And we get that Hive Mind benefit, so we get the bonus damage shared. Barbaric Yop, so we get the 200% pet bonuses. Mutated Defense, so our pet doesn't die as often, but we do have the Res Pistol just in case he does. We have Pack Tactics, just so Flak and our pet have more health and damage. Shared Spirit, so we take 50% less damage. And finally, Dominance. Now this is basically one of my favorite skills in the game when it comes to running Gamma Burst Flak. Now in order to get Dominance to proc, we have to either melee that enemy or score a critical hit on them while we're aiming down sights. Now Dominance just basically turns whatever you're shooting at into an ally, and this is very useful because if our Gamma Burst isn't up at the moment, Dominance is probably going to be there to help us, and it's going to allow us to de-aggro ourselves even though Gamma Burst isn't still up. We went into the bottom of Hunter Tree. All of these skills are pretty self-explanatory. A little bit of reload speed, Leave No Trace so we get our ammo back, Interplanetary Stalker for bonus damage per stack, Big Game so our Hunter skill duration and effects are increased, the Most Dangerous Game so when we kill a badass we get gun damage and crit damage. Of course we need Galactic Shadow for the 15% bonus crit damage. And finally Megavore, so we have that 20% chance to crit no matter where we shoot the enemy. And this actually does work in unison with Dominance. If you're aiming down sights and you get a Megavore proc, and let's say you shoot him in the foot but it's still a crit, Dominance will indeed proc. And finally into the Stalker skill tree we get Lick the Wounds, another form of survivability on our part because our pet won't go down that much, and even if you're down alongside your pet you could always pull out the res him and he'll res you. Now I didn't go anything into Purple Tree because there wasn't really many points we could sacrifice here, but if you wanted to trade out Lick the Wounds and spec into reload speed you can, but honestly with this build Purple Tree is not needed whatsoever. And I know I'm going to get the comments, well, if you want a pet flak build, why aren't you using Purple Tree? It's amazing with Gamma Burst. Well, this is not a pet flak build. This is a Dominance build. You're not really utilizing your pet in terms of damage dealer. He's more or less there just to tank everything for you while you kill everything. And as always for my Guardian rank, I do not have any Guardian rank buffs, perks, or stats because that is just not how I play Borderlands 3. None of the builds you see featured on my channel will have anything to do with the Guardian rank system. Never have been a big fan of it. I just like testing my builds the vanilla way. And now let's hop over into the inventory. Our main 4 weapons are going to be the Plasma Coil, the Hellwalker, the Replay, and the Res. Now other than the Res, because I can't get anointed, we are using URAD. With our relic, the Atom Bomb Deathless, we get more radiation damage, burst damage, and efficiency, which is nice, and we get our health reserve to 1, so we can proc URAD and get a bunch of URAD bonuses within a single item. I have area of effect damage, magazine size, and more radiation damage. Overall, amazing relic to have. If you cannot get an Atom Bomb Deathless, mainly just go for any Deathless. Any Deathless will work, but Atom Bomb is what you want to shoot for. Over to our class mod, we are using a Red Fang. If you don't know what Red Fang is, you might be living under a rock. But when we activate Gamma Burst, our pet taunts all enemies, basically making us a walking shadow. This class mod works 10 times better than fadeaway does, which makes 0 sense because in fadeaway you're supposed to be invisible. I'm not going to get into a rant about fadeaway. Maybe in the future I'll make a video about that. But my roles are weapon damage, which benefits everything, Jacob's crit damage, which benefits our Hellwalker specifically, and action skill cooldown rate, which just allows us to get our Gamma Burst back even quicker. The Revolter. You probably see this shield everywhere. This shield is honestly a thing of beauty, and I've been waiting for the right build to actually showcase this shield. And the big thing about this shield is when it depletes, you do bonus shock damage for 15 seconds. And this damage, from what I've read, is 200% shock damage. It might be a little bit more than that, but I know it's at least 200% shock damage. And we do have the Ass Anointments action skill start, which allows us to get that shock enraged every time we activate our Gamma Burst. And finally, we have the Mesmer. This is also a DLC 6 exclusive, I do believe. I could be wrong, but this grenade possesses enemies to fight for your side for 10 seconds, increasing their damage, their weapon damage, and their melee damage while possessed. This is basically a built-in dominance with no cooldown. You can throw this at as many enemies as you want, as many times, and they will just keep fighting for you and not even shoot at you. And this is why Dominance Flak is so fun, because let's say you're doing a takedown, your Gamma Burst is down, your Dominance is on cooldown, and you're getting hammered with bullets. You could throw 1 or 2 Mesmers on a group of enemies, and that group of enemies is just going to simply constantly shoot each other. And it allows you to maybe shoot the Reflux, maybe your Hellwalker, any sort of weapon that can get your cooldown back so you can get your Gamma Burst back up. This build just has a lot of backup plans when it comes to self-survivability and de-aggroing you. And I do have the on grenade throw anoint, so we get bonus grenade, weapon, and action skill damage for 25% for 6 seconds. Now, as for secondary weapons, I do have a Skull Masher, a Reflux, a Tig's Boom, which is actually pretty fun, the Bloom, which is also pretty fun, the Back Burner for bossing, and the Tizzy for a replacement of the Replay. If you don't have the Replay, the Tizzy is a good temporary replacement, but the Replay on this build is just so amazing. You could pop down your Gamma Burst, switch to your Replay's targeting mode, and it will target the whole group of enemies, and you get insane fire rate alongside the U-Red Anoint, alongside the Shock Enraged Anoint, alongside on grenade throw from the Mesmer. This thing is a thing of beauty. I didn't really showcase this in my Splash Flak build that I posted recently because I wanted to keep it for this build specifically. Although it could work with Splash Flak, it's more suited for this kind of crowd control damage build. Flak traditionally isn't a crowd control type of person, but this build allows him to have many options to control a horde of enemies. And now I do want to showcase this where it's supposed to be. I was going to showcase this with something like the Maliwan Takedown, but when it comes to the Valkyries, when it comes to, let's say, Wotan himself, it's a little bit slower than most traditional Flak builds because the main focus of this build is to simply control the horde. That's all you're really doing with this type of build. Now, as you can see, the Replay does track through walls, which is amazing, and it allows you to do crazy things. The more enemies there are tracked, the more fire rate you will get on your weapon, as you can see here. But yes, guys, this is probably one of my more enjoyable Flak builds, just because it's so familiar, because Red Fang Gamma Burst Flak isn't a new concept. It's always been an awesome way to play Flak. But when you're playing it in this way, along with the grenades, along with your dominance, as you see, that badass isn't even shooting us because we procced the dominance on him. And if you're on PC and you have the privilege of downloading my PC save files, check out the description below. I will have everything you've seen in this video in a save file for you guys on PC. As for the console players, you could join my Flak Pack Discord down below. A lot of gear helpers are in my Discord willing to help you guys get the gear that you guys need. One more thing I do want to mention, when it comes to something like the Plasma Coil, this gun is very good for your single target damage. The single target damage is very important. The Replay can't really provide that all the time. But when it comes to these big enemies, especially the anointed tinks, I like to just pop down my Gamma Burst, I get my Enraged, and I just pull out the Hellwalker because the Hellwalker basically deletes anything in the game. And as you can see, even anointed tinks are no match for this shotgun. But other than that, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please make sure to leave a like on it. Subscribe if you're new and you want to join the Flak Pack. And hit that bell down below so you never miss out on another video from me. And I'll see you guys later.